show. Welcome to the pain, welcome to the pros. Welcome to the grind, your story's never told unless you leave it with a legacy before you go. Welcome to the game, welcome to the show. Welcome to the pain, welcome to the pros. Welcome to the grind, your story's never told unless you leave it with a legacy before you go. Your story's never told unless you leave it with a legacy before you go. Welcome to the game, welcome to the show. Welcome to the pain, welcome to the pros. Welcome to the grind, your story's never told unless you leave it with a legacy before you go.
game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way, you wasn't invited. Say you come to play, I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me, then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
Welcome to Gateway, otherwise known as the Worldwide Technology Raceway for Real Sim Racing action. It's the Full Throttle Cup Series. My name is Dylan Coyle, joined alongside Nolan Rempel in St. Louis on the Illinois side, just outside of what we know as the Arch. Is this 1.25 mile racetrack that almost acts like a road course, but is certainly not. It's an egg-shaped oval. Don't let that visual fool you. This is a very flat racetrack, and it's got two different sides. One that almost feels like the carousel at Road America, and another that just feels like you dive down deep into it, maybe get a little bit off the apex, and keep it moving. But this is going to be a fun time. Nolan, I'd like to introduce you. What are your thoughts on tonight's event?
Worldwide Technology Raceway is all about momentum, right? It's always been a track where you're never going to be able to get too much of a drafty road down the straights because of how much you have to back up the corners. It's all going to be about how you can set up the momentum, coming around through turns 1 and 2 so you can send one up the inside into turn numbers 3 and 4. Of course, 3 and 4, wider radius, less banking. Much easier, I'd argue, to throw a dive bomb up the inside. Of course, got to watch as it's also a lot easier to slide up towards the outside wall. Turns 1 and 2, much tighter. The groove hugging right up along that apron. A lot more banking to 1 and 2, but even still, just about the same amount of speed because of all that raised banking and the tighter radius. So it's all going to be about that momentum track. I think turn 3 is going to be our primary passing spot today.
We take a look at the schedule, and we're getting very close to the halfway point of this 30 race calendar. Actually, if you want to say it, we are now 1/3 officially of the way in if you take out the duels and the all-star race. Gateway, after a 1 week off week where we went to Charlotte on the 22nd, took off, and now back to action. And then we go to Sonoma before another off week takes hold. This is going to be a fun stretch of races with Nashville, Chicago, Atlanta, New Hampshire, Pocono. I mean, these are such different types of tracks. Remember the good old days of the cookie cutters? Well, no more here.
We look towards the championship standings, and it is still just as tight as ever around that cut spot. Jaron Weinmaster and Tom Wetmore separated by 6. It's another 2 points back then to Bradley Burke, who sits 1 spot out, or 2 spots outside that cut line. Brandon Bowie, of course, only 6 points up from Jaron Weinmaster from that cut line as well, tied at the moment with Jaron Weinmaster. So you essentially got yourself close to a 2-way tie for that final spot. Then, of course, San Diego, the other driver arguably at risk. Then you get up the likes of Michael Johnson, Grant Davis. Drivers that have themselves a good chance being able to point their way in. At this point, we've had a lot of different race winners, though, and you can see all the way up to the 8th position have had a win, as we've got 8 different winners so far locked in to the chase on, of course, the mandatory attendance sheets, and that could make for some interesting racing as we get set to crown potentially another new winner here tonight.
I miss the usage of the chase, saying it was the chase, but now, of course, known as the playoffs. There's a lot of drivers who could be in right around that cut line as we look at Michael Laraya heading into his pit box with 2 minutes to go here in qualifying. Andrew Phipps currently on top of the board by over a tenth. That is a fast time with a 34.26. You get the leaderboard up, and you can see the timing left. So a lot of these drivers still have an additional lap left as Matt Danson goes up to third quickest, but look who's second. Andrew Farinas. Sam Nieto with a nice time of a 34.37. Still nobody except for Phipps has gotten into the 0.2 second range.
We're out on board with Brett Punkari as he's trying to see if he can't put himself a bit further up onto the qualifying sheets as well, working his way down the back straightaway on lap number 1. Currently not on the timing boards. It's a 35.121 to a 34.261 from slowest up to fastest, almost a full second separating top to bottom in this field, and it's fairly evenly spread. There's a tire grouping as well. It's about a few drivers in each little tenth of a second bracket. Punkari across the line, 34.602. That is pretty much on par for about as average as you can get in the midfield as it stands.
Cody Harris has made his way into the 0.2 second range, but still 24 thousandths off of Andrew Phipps' time. You know, this track might be a really suitable one for a driver like Matt Danson, who we know Danson is amazing on the road courses, but of course is absolutely fast on this oval as well. As we're currently watching Seth DeMerchant might have a very quick time as he crosses the line, and oh look, Cody Harris has just set the fastest time.
Harris goes quickest with a 34.235. Seth DeMerchant, even though he came off the wall, went a 34.309. But given with the fact that he had to kind of get out of the throttle a bit to avoid that outside wall off of 4, makes you wonder if maybe he had a bit more speed underneath that car, had he nailed that apex in 3 and 4 just that little bit more.
Well, qualifying is over. Only 2 drivers did not set a lap time, and we are going to get the starting grid in just a moment. But your pole winner, we know to be the number 28 car who snatched it at the very last moment. It is Cody Harris. But that was a quick session. All these drivers are showing some speed. The real question will be, as we see the race information, is will these drivers be able to deal with some of the tire wear that might be gained on a track that's pretty flat? Remember last year, a 2-tire strategy worked for Sam Nieto to win that race. It's 120 laps, and as per usual, we have 0 fast repairs, 4 tire sets, and 100% fuel capacity. Unlike NASCAR, who does unlimited overtime attempts, we have 3 attempts at overtime. And just like NASCAR, this is a sprint race, really. 120 laps. It's 150 miles?
It's not going to be very long at all. Only, of course, that 150 miles or so, give or take a little bit. Of course, it's not exactly 1.25 miles here, the Worldwide Technology Raceway, but qualifying's complete. The 31 grid is set. We get set to go racing once again from Madison, Illinois.
Cody Harris starting on the pole with Andrew Phipps getting pushed off the pole late in that qualifying session. They comprise the first row. Seth DeMerchant, Bradley Burke, Andrew Farinas, Matt Danson, your first 3, Nolan.
Rounding out row number 4. Going to be Sam Nieto, Michael Araya, Tom Wetmore, and Agnew Phillick will be back on row number 5. To round out the top 10, Brandon Fennerplace and Ryan Dunkelberger down in 11th and 12th.
Michael Johnson, Thomas George, row 7 with Brett Punkari, Sean Casto, Steve Tucker, and Richard Wolsafer. Got me again, Richard, comprising row number 9.
Brian Dixon and Richard Woodruff bring up the back of the top 20. It'll be Alexander Life for Limitless Esports and Monotony Major for the Spotify Chevrolet down in 22nd place. Brady Whitaker for Extreme Performance Motorsports and Eric Papino for SGE Slipstream down in 24th.
25th is Carl Polar. Grant Davis is in 26th. Sean Kalis, Brandon Bowie, Gregory Shaw are the last of the cars to have qualified for this race, as Landon Mills and Steve Durham, who has had a topsy-turvy day himself in the real world, is in sim. I have to know he's all right, and I'm actually shocked he's in this session, boys.
That's going to be an interesting run as well to see if these guys will be able to make themselves with a good run. You can see the track temp, a blistering hot 114 degrees. That was up to 127 at the end of practice. So to say tire wear is going to be impacted by that high track temp, I think will be a bit of an understatement. I'm willing to bet we're already going to see tire wear kicking in within about 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, we saw that temperature on track. It's hot, 114 degrees Fahrenheit. This track is going to be slick. It's going to be fun. Tire wear is going to be a factor, and we're only racing 120 laps. So if you're starting in the back, better sprint up because it is going to fly by. Cody Harris will take the green flag. We are underway at Gateway. No surprise there. Cody Harris hangs on to the lead and will lead lap number 1 with Andrew Farinas and Seth Merchant, or Andrew Phipps, I should say, and Seth Merchant running side by side. Bradley Burke up into the wall.
Burke gets up into that outside wall, loses spots all the way down to 31st place, and not going to be wanting to get in front of anybody's way, but the Gateway Esports, number 95 Chevrolet, going to find himself now tumbling to the tail end with a lot of work ahead of him to make up that ground.
Yeah, not sure what happened there with Bradley Burke, but he gets back going in last place. Cody Harris leads another lap, and right behind him is Andrew Phipps. So, of course, they keep it moving side by side. For position number 3 is Seth Merchant and Andrew Farinas in that unfamiliar number 20 for most long-time watchers and racers of Real Sim Racing. Number 20, of course, not his typical number, but hey, part-time, different number. You know, the good old Jimmy Johnson special.
See the Merchant on board with the Toyota now as he tries to work his way to get up to the back end of Andrew Farinas, the Elliott Sadler Esports number 20 Ford Mustang, diving it down and into turn number 1. You saw a couple of cars getting a bit up and wide. Nieto tried to have that peek to the inside of Danson.
Yeah, Michael Lariah got into the back of Sam Nieto and almost sent Nieto flying into turn 1. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I should say, for Nieto and Lariah, really, nothing happened there. We watch Cody Harris fly on by. Andrew Phipps has closed the gap a little bit. Remember, these are the only 2 drivers that were able to get the lap times into the 2/10 range, the 34.2 range here. I wonder if that is for them. I mean, it depends on their practice, right?
For us here behind the scenes, so we're going to apologize for that real quick, like, as we're going to continue to do this now radio style. It's still going to be a big run down into the first couple of corners here, and I believe should be back now, or in just a few moments at least. Cody Harris hightails it off down the back straightaway.
What is it with Gateway and, you know, technical issues? We're back. You see what happened this weekend, Nolan?
I did not. Fill me in.
You just went all dark on racing this weekend. Well, there was a technical issue at Gateway at the internet or the electrical side, and for a few moments under a caution, the TV feed and MRN feed both completely died. But we should be back. The broadcast hopefully is fine. We're going to keep it going, though. Nonetheless, as yes, we are back on YouTube. As Steve Durham's not, or I think Bradley Burke is not happy with Steve Durham or something. But nonetheless, for back to live pictures. Cody Harris still leading. Andrew Phipps now under a distinct battle with Andrew Farinas, who is caught up. Farinas gets a better line out of turns 2 and goes side by side with Phipps.
Making that run down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Farinas clears. Phipps going to pull down in line with the ESC Mustang, and now Andrew Phipps try to take that Circle B Diecast Chevrolet back onto the podium, but he's not going to be able to keep it for long. As that's the Merchant takes his Logitech G Altus Esports number 55 Toyota Supra down to the inside. Trying to make the move, but here's Phipps trying to fight that one back with the momentum from the high shelf.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where there are multiple grooves, even with it being as flat as it is, and you like to see that kind of racing with tracks that are flat.
As Danson going to work to the bottom of Andrew Phipps and try to get himself sorted. Sandietto going to continue to work something up off the bottom, and again, we should be back for the second time now. We'll apologize once again for the technical gremlins going on behind the scenes here on this deal. Sandietto going to take a look at Andrew Phipps. It's almost... I'm almost laughing a little bit here because I've had my share of, not so much technical gremlins, more mechanical gremlins. For those that are unaware, I do drag racing broadcasting at my local track, and there was, in the span of an hour, about 5 different cars, Dylan, that all have mechanical issues and were not able to qualify for racing this past Sunday, which is part of why I was so checked out on the racing scene, particularly the NASCAR scene this weekend. And I find it amusing that some of those mechanical gremlins seem to be infecting our producer's computer now.
It's just the racing world is full of technical gremlins this weekend, but, you know, nice to know that you still survived your drag racing nightmare, as way down low, who is that pulling out of line? Can't quite tell as we see the 00 of Steve Tucker. Great picture in picture. We really saw that there. Man, this is fun. Gateway is just a problem.
With Steve Tucker, the car that pulled down the inside, I don't think it was fully voluntary. The back end kicked out on the 00 Supra. That's what sent him down to the inside line. Now Brian Dixon too deep into turn number 1. Grant Davis going to turn that car back to the bottom and get around Dixon for 16th. And they got a few car lengths back to Richard Woodrow and Manatzi Major, a bit of a scrap as well for the 18th spot on the race course. Is Major going to try to look for the inside 27, not able to make a move though down to turn 3.
This is a good track to separate some of the faster drivers with the drivers who struggle on flat tracks, one lane. Again, it's not one lane tracks. It's trying to find where the grip levels are. And a lot of the time coming out of 1 and 2, they'll diamond 1 and 2, but not a complete diamond. Like they won't hit the apex at, meaning the rumble strips at any one point in their cornering. But they will try to find what line provides the best speed. Sometimes we see drivers go in the high line in 3 and 4, but we haven't really seen that in this race so far. It seems like the preferred line is that low line. But, I mean, look at that. You could fit 2.5 cars down there between where those cars are placing itself and to where the apex is. That does not give Ross Chastain a free excuse to try and do that to Michael McDowell, but hey-oh, shots taken.
Cody Harris.
Nolan, you can't even get any, you're so racing out from the weekend, my references won't work.
I had to run for almost 48 hours on 1 hour of sleep, all right? I had 3 leagues, one of them Australian, so you know that's a late night shift for me, or not even late night, early morning. And then 10 hours of straight commentary yesterday. I'm a bit surprised my voice has managed to hold up all this time. So yeah, a bit racing down. These references not landing in the slightest. You'll have to really explain it to me like I've never seen this sport before.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, it's a debatable thing whether Ross Chastain forced it in where he probably could have backed out of a turn 1 move on Michael McDowell. Oh, goodness, the 56. Yeah, exactly right there. Richard Wilsifer oh man, who is bearing the same paint scheme that Travis Pastrana and a few others have bared this year with that coffee company. And oh, that's a hard hit to the inside wall. I mean, he's going slow down the backstretch. He's going down in the pit lane on that entry in turn 3.
It's got a meatball flag too, so that car going to be pulling down in the pit road. Will not be surprised. That has something to do with that left front. It looked a bit unstable as he'll pull down into pit road. Of course, pit entry lane back at 3 and 4, and nearly ran into the other wall trying to get it slowed down for the commitment line. But of course, there are no fast repairs, so that might be day over then for Richard Wolsifer. We'll check back in on the number 8 car, working his way down the back straightaway in towards turn number 3, trying to close up to Bradley Burke. Bradley Burke's been slowly progressing back through this field. Of course, he got loose, or got up into the outside wall on lap number 2, fell all the way down to 31st. He's backed up to 20th place now and is starting to put himself a bit further up, and I think a lucky caution here. We could be seeing him right back up front before long.
Yeah, Burke did not really suffer a hard hit, so I don't think he's suffering much at all with the handling of that car. Was really surprised to see as much of a struggle as we see the 26 of Mills make a move. How about Mills? We haven't talked about him that much in this race, but he started in 30th position, one of the only 2 cars who did not make a qualifying attempt in this race. He's already up to position number 16, around 8 seconds off the leader.
The gap has been spreading out from top to bottom quite massively all throughout the course of this race, and I'm not terribly surprised by that. Of course, we talked about how in qualifying the pace of the field was almost a second from top to bottom, and that was, of course, at the fastest these drivers were able to go. Once you factor in tire wear, it's not terribly surprising that it's going to kind of take a bit more to the wayside here to be able to get these guys a bit more spaced out. And it's been about a second a lap just under that guys like Sean Kalis have been losing. Steve Durham's lost about 3/4 of a second every single lap as we start to run lap number 21 with 99 to go. This time by Andrew Freenosh going to continue to go to work with Seth DeMerchant, and I think they might want to see if they can't work together to close the back up to Cody Harris, see if they can't stop that 28 car from leading any more of this race in clean air.
By the way, the 56 car of Richard Wolsifer back out on track with a minute of required repairs, and he looks to be fine. It was it just a flat tire for the meatball? We don't know, but we'll try and figure out.
Quotation marks on that.
Well, true. We'll call it a flat tire. For that one, Seth DeMerchant tries to look and force his way as the 20 slips up a little bit off of turn 4. They're going to be side by side. A bit of a wiggle from Seth DeMerchant. He'll try and side draft Andrew Freenosh and gain some speed down the straightaway. Hard braking zone into this sharp entry into turn 1. It's also allowed a lot of drivers from in behind to find their way into this battle, as 2nd through 7th practically under a blanket all the way back to Agnell Phillip. Sam Nieto watching this whole battle unfold too as Matt Danson tries to follow whoever's quicker, and right now that's the inside line. Freenosh has clearly lost out. DeMerchant has cleared him for 2nd. Matt Danson going to try and side draft down the front straight as well and put Freenosh another car behind as we enter another lap. Look at that line that DeMerchant took way up high. Danson, we see that view, and we see no more Freenosh. Danson up into 3rd. Freenosh, has he burned his tires off?
One driver way to the inside of the back straightaway. That's Tom Wetmore losing out to Michael Johnson now. The Tube Tech Chevrolet doing exactly what we had seen, I believe it was the 8 of Alexander Light doing earlier on in this race, getting loose off of turn number 2 and almost looping it down the back straightaway. But we'll keep it straight, we'll keep it green. And you look at how much time they lost and all of that squabbling for that position, right? I mean, Cody Harris was only about 0.4 of a second in front of these guys. That Gasson walked out another 1.3 seconds at the 2 laps or so. They're battling each other out, and now you see Danson and the Merchant starting to pull away, but they're, I think, I don't even think we'll be able to catch Cody Harris before we get down to the pit stop window at this point in time. As we look back to Michael Johnson, he'll look now to the inside of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore going for the over-under, but Johnson going to get it turned back down to cover him off.
Yeah, this is a good battle going on right here for position number 9, and then we rejoin the battle for position 7 between Michael Lariah and look who it is, the number 25 machine of Andrew Phipps, who has really fallen in this race ever since qualifying on the outside of the front row. He's down to 8th. He's losing time to Lariah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he just continues to kind of reel back. We were 26 laps of the way in, now 27 as Cody Harris crosses the line. We've been green so far. When do you think, Nolan, we're going to start to see pit strategy come into play? Should be, what, 75-ish laps in?
Unless we see somebody go for that two-tire strategy that got San Nieto the win when he was over here a little while ago. In that case, we could be seeing drivers pitting around the laps 40, the lap 80 mark. That'd be more for tires, though, not so much on the fuel, right? If you want to go fuel, you're waiting until lap 60 to 75 or so.
Yeah, I don't see... Did you say 80 laps?
60 to 75.
Okay, I was like, huh? All right. 80 laps, it would be, I think, 100 miles on a single tank of fuel. If you're Justin Allgaier at Charlotte, apparently you can do that. So, you know, who knows? Who knows what you can actually, the mileage you can sometimes get out of these machines. iRacing is, of course, a more controlled environment. And you will see a lot of these teams maybe trying to split it up. I don't think this race will go green the entire way, but it is a race where you can make it on one pit stop, just split it right in the middle, or you go maybe 70 laps and then go for a 50-lap stint at the end of the race where, of course, it kind of almost looks like a little bit of a road course. Just look at that move. You saw Farina slide up high. Nieto almost lost it on the exit of 2. And Agnel Phillip is going to take that position from him. So Nieto, it was looking like he was going to get by Andrew Farinas, and it ends up in him losing a spot. And then Phillip just comes down to cut off Nieto at the inside line. Their racing deal as we exit 4 down the straightaway and into 1 we go on lap 30 of 120. With 25% of the way in to this 1.25 mile circuit's 120 laps. Look at that move by Agnel Phillip. Farinas is struggling.
And Farinas just cannot get that front end to turn right now as Phillip diamonds off turn number 2. And you can see San Nieto looking behind. He's going to send one to the inside. Very shallow entry into 3. Going to wash up just a little bit for the number 2 Mustang. Farinas trying to pinch him into the bottom, and he'll get the drive off of turn number 4 and will clear down the front straightaway. But San Nieto saw an opportunity there, and he looked to pounce. He's going to look for it again. Might be trying to scare finishing a mistake, and it's worked. The 20 locks up and goes wide.
Yeah, Farinas definitely burnt his tires, but Nieto is going to have to deal with the switchback there as Farinas, he might clear him even though he has the non-preferred entry into 3. Nieto is going to try and go around the outside. We've seen the outside start to fight a little bit here. It's basically more cars go up there, the more rubber laid down, the more grip that is on the outside, and now they're going to be side by side as Farinas got a little bit loose on the exit and he loses that position. But Nieto, did he slide up a little bit going into 1 and 2? I think everybody's sliding right now. I mean, these tires, it's 127 degrees on track right now. It has gone up 13 degrees since we started this race. Now, that's in Fahrenheit, of course. This is a slick track right now.
And of course, that's what it was like at the end of practice, right? 127 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is about as hot as you can get it in the race sim. So I don't doubt it would be a bit warmer even if it was allowed. But of course, Andrew Farinas trying to close into the back end of San Nieto. But the hot track surface, I mentioned before, not going to be doing these racers any sort of favors. We'll look back way down the field. This is down for 23rd place coming on out of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. This is Eric Papineau, Carl Pooler, Brian Dixon, and Braden Whitaker. The 23rd to 24th place just changed hands this last lap or so as the U.S. Army Chevrolet puts himself up in that 23rd spot. But now Carl Pooler starting to close in as Papino got loose. Papino tried to defend. That's not going to stop Pooler, though, as he'll send one to the inside, but not soon enough. Papino clears once again.
Yeah, but Pooler was sliding up a little bit. He really was going to lose out no matter what there. You enter turn 3 and 4 at that sharp of an angle. It's really hard to fight back on the outside. He's around a half a car length back, and he was thinking about sliding down the inside. It's only going to hurt a little more, but now we join with the 26 and the 39 cars of, believe it or not, Landon Mills just absolutely flying right now, up into 9th place after starting in 30th, and this is on pure speed. Really impressive drive from the driver of the 26 machine right now.
Superb driving here from Landon Mills as he puts himself up into the 9th spot and is already starting to drive away from the likes of Michael Johnson a little ways behind. The Team Ryko machine is working his way down to turn numbers 3 and 4. He's got himself, I would say, about 3 seconds or so up to the three-way fight between Freenosh, Lariah, and Phipps for 8th, 7th, and 6th. And the last time by was indeed closing. It'll close into a bit more this time through. He was 3/10 faster. He's going to be catching those guys and fighting for more spots inside the top 10 before long.
The question is, how will the last half of this tire wear look like strategy-wise? Because I was texting with our usual third man in the booth with Terry Radford, and he said that it's going to probably be cut 60-60 unless anyone decides to use some strategy, stay out later, come in earlier. I mean, I can definitely see this race just going 60-60, but you could also see some shenanigans going on, right? Where if you decide to go in at lap 58 or 59, 57 even, because you can make the race with one stop when you're around that window opening up, as we're seeing a lot of battles happen on track. The real question is, what will it look like for timing? Let's look at Cody Harris's times, all right? Cody Harris, his fastest lap of the race was a 34.44. Is we right on board with Bowie at the goose of this train. His lap times right now are 36.8. That's 2.5 seconds of fall off in just 38 laps. I mean, look at that timing right there as you see the last 10 laps. That's an immense amount of fall off. But of course, it has actually, a lot of it has not even come from being in lapped traffic either. He's not really facing too much, as you see 2 cars right behind, or 1 car I should say, is set to merge as that 2nd car in behind. This is a slick track. Tires are wearing. I would be shocked if we don't see a bunch of cars try to undercut at that 60 lap marker.
Cody Harris going to continue to go to work in the race lead and take these laps away as we close in on that 1/3 mark. You just saw Ryan Dunkelberger take the boosted Camry to the inside of Michael Johnson's Mustang. And the number 39 car going to continue to work its way down to turn numbers 3 and 4. Tom Wetmore hanging on just in the wings, waiting to see what the Tube Tech Chevrolet will be able to put on this field, as Michael Johnson going to continue to take away these laps as well. I think everybody so far has really been falling into the middle portion of this race. We can see Thomas George going for the 2-stop strategy, pitting out of that 18th spot to come to pit road. He'll lose a lap, and we'll see what will be taking place on this one. And report is he may have had even an issue here coming around turn number 2.
Yeah, he what we'll see here is that out of 2, he just lost it on the exit here. He goes out, tries to go to the block that outside run from Bradley Burke, loses it. Because it's so slick, it just keeps sliding on that rubber. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to come down pit lane and make it into a 2-stop strategy. So he could have been content with losing that time there, but he said, to heck with it. We're going to try something, roll the dice. He was already in the back pretty substantially. Bradley Burke in the pits as well. So this is a 2-tire race for some. and a one-stop or two-stop race for some, and a one-stop race for others. And Nolan, I think the temperature of the track right now is influencing that decision. It's really varying now. It's 119 degrees, so it's fallen 8 degrees in the last, I don't know, 4, 6 laps, something like that. It's kind of wild.
Thomas George, not the only driver to come down to pit row. Michael Johnson, as well as Steve Tucker, Bradley Burke were also guys that came on down and into pit road. Some of those guys running a bit further up the field, as we'll be seeing more drivers making their way down into the lane. I'm seeing Richard Wolsifer pitting this time by. Of course, he's a bit off cycle and a lap down, so he really doesn't have anything really to lose by doing this, as we'll continue to check in with some of these leading battles. And how's this one for Michael Johnson trying to get up around the outside of one of the Battle Beaver Camrys? That's going to cut off Grant Davis.
Yeah, that was an interesting move right there. Michael Johnson going to try and utilize all of these fresh tires to his advantage. The question really becomes, can he cut down on what the speeds are going to be? Okay, so what's the pit delta? That's the question, and that's a question I'd like to have answered. Let's just say it's a 40-second pit delta in the pits. You got to cut down on that pretty substantially, maybe a 35 seconds, something like that, in the pits, in the pit box, and when you're coming out. You've got to really understand that once you come out of the pits, you need to be flying. By this time, it's around a 2.5 second fall off around 40 laps in. If you can cut down consistently every lap over, 20, 40 laps, a 40-second deficit, then, and be in the net gain, you're good on strategy. It's just a question that we don't know the answer to yet. We'll have to see how it plays out as this race goes on. But you know what I love about this? Two things, Nolan, two things. It's that this is a race that, on a racetrack, that's almost like a road course, as we see Alexander Light go into. It's almost like a road course. It races like a road course. We're seeing road course strategies come into play where it could be a one pit stop or two pit stop kind of race. You know what's amazing, though, that we could see happen? We could see a yellow at an inopportune moment just completely change the dynamic of this race. And if we're assuming right, as Michael Lariah goes into the pits as well, then around lap 80 would be when all of this pit strategy ends. Oh goodness, that's a lot of time to hope that a caution doesn't come out. But hey, we've gone 46 laps without one, 47 laps without one so far.
So you wanted an answer on your pit time delta. Well, I do have an answer for on that one. I engaged the stopwatch on the last two drivers who came down the pit road: Eric Papino, Alexander Light, now Michael O'Brien. Looking to be anywhere between about 44 to 46 seconds, depending on how long you're in the box for. Of course, you had Alexander Light 45.6 seconds total at pit road, 14.8 in the box. Eric Papino was a 46.65 with a 16-second pit time in the box. So it's looking to be around the 45, 46 second range. So that'll means you are absolutely going to guarantee lose a lap here when you come on down to pit road, with the lap time still sitting at about 37 seconds apiece. But it is going to still make that strategy interesting if you'll be able to make up all of that time. Have to overtake the leaders not once but twice to try to make it out of pit road.
So yeah, it comes down to if you can cut off a 45-second deficit that you have, taken due to the extra stop. But with the fresh tires, if you can cut off 45 seconds and anything positive after that, you're in the green. You're clear. As we see a very hairy situation with cars that have fresh tires, cars that don't have fresh tires, trying to go around each other. The next interesting phase of this race will be when drivers such as Harris, DeMerchant, Danson, Phillip, Nieto, Farinas, Landon Mills, Andrew Phipps, all of them who have had a spot battling up front. It comes at lap 60 or around there when they go into the pits, because then the advantage is going to be in the hands of the drivers who stopped early. They've gained so much time that, I mean, they could easily put some of these drivers a lap down when they come out of the pits. And then if a yellow comes out, I don't know. This is just wild. This is just, I love strategy races, Nolan, because you just don't know what to expect.
Well, now that you said that, somebody's going to bring a caution out somewhere and take your strategy race away. You know that's like Murphy's Law, pretty much, when it comes to our luck as a commentator's duo. Yes,
we have a horrible streak of luck. I think I bring you that unluckiness in terms of, you know, saying, hey, there hasn't been a caution in a while, then all of a sudden a caution comes out, because that's just me.
Trouble for Gregory Shaw. He has left the session, and it was a bad run for Shaw. What ended up happening, this is all the way back on lap 48. He tried to come to pit road in turn 3, failed. You know, you see there's a little concrete strip there right in turn number 4. He tried to pit in using that run of concrete, and, well, you'll see what happened here. It wasn't exactly a caution. It didn't warrant it, but it ripped the right front of the tire completely out of alignment. You see a missed pit entry there? There's a reason you don't see this strip being used for pit entry, and this is why.
Oh, yeah, he has some damage from that.
He ripped the right front out.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's aerodynamic advantage.
I don't think that's any kind of aerodynamic advantage. I mean, look at that right wheel. It's destroyed.
I'm joking. That wheel hopefully for him does not take that damage, but goodness me, that's a lot. Okay, so here's an interesting look at what's happening, because you see Cody Harris and you see who he's getting passed by to get his lap back. It's Michael Lariah. So Lariah is going to, I think, you know, come out second once everything is all said and done, because who else has gone into the pits? I think it's just Michael Johnson, right? That's gone into the pits from this, who is leading the two-stop strategy right now?
Actually, Michael Lariah has also been in the pit road in the last little while, and he runs 17th as it stands.
We know that, but Michael Johnson is a position ahead of him. Hasn't Johnson gone into the pits as well?
Let me get back to you on that one.
All right.
He has, okay. He has gone into the pits. But he's not the one to lead the way. Oh, maybe he is. I'm all over the place right now. I'm trying to figure out. Is 16th place? No, it is Michael Johnson. You are correct.
Okay. So Michael Johnson is leading the way, and as long as we go another 7 laps or so, he will take the lead for a few laps. I mean, this right now is where it becomes very important to see that fall off from a driver like Cody Harris, who is being passed right now by Bradley Burke. Burke, who is now back on the lead lap. This is going to help somebody like Burke, too, who, once is all said and done, once the leaders go for their only stop of the race, will go back into the top 3 momentarily. Oh, boy, I like strategy calls. If a caution comes out now, everyone who was on the lead lap will go into the pits. That's not a question.
Halfway point's going to be coming on up at about 5 laps time here on this one. So that's going to be... Oh, we're going to get a caution here, maybe. Castile sideways on the back straightaway and up to the outside wall. No yellow. We'll be able to keep that thing green.
What is
great? Not even a save, but just a great job of the field to get around that. He looped that back in. I thought for sure that was going to be a yellow. He slowed it down to about 30 miles an hour.
Oh, actually, it was right in front of him where there was a little wiggle from Brandon Bowie. And then, of course, Casto almost completely loses it. Yeah, you see Bowie get into the wall. And Casto, just because of how slick this track is and how worn those tires are, goes on, what, a 30, 35 degree angle. That was pretty impressive.
Minati Major coming to the pit road at lap number 56. So that's an interesting lap to come down on a pit road. That's I think that's still a one-stop strategy then for Major, but it's an interesting time to going down a pit road. I thought he would have waited a bit closer to halfway or just past, as he's going to be
I think he doesn't
want
to lose. He doesn't want to lose any more time because he already knows the next few laps he's going to lose around 10 seconds to the drivers who have already come in. So might as well roll the dice, go into the pits now, and maybe a caution comes out in the second half of this race once he's caught up and passed the leaders back. So Cody Harris, Agnell Phillip reporting into our man on who has the Hawkeye out, Terry Radford. They're reporting very loose right now. So, I mean, makes sense. No rubber left in the tires, and it's a very slick track. I mean, I don't know what strategy is the winning call. The last lap for Cody Harris as he crosses the line was a 37.691. His fastest lap of the race was a 34.4. That's a 3.3 second fall off as the run goes on. This is, I don't know what the right strategy is.
I can tell you which one it is.
What is it?
It's a strategy.
I dislike you.
Look at me and tell me I'm wrong.
You know, I think I think the winner of this race is one of the drivers in the field right now.
You're not wrong.
I know.
It will be a driver for sure.
Look at this mess right here between Michael Lariah and Michael Johnson. This is a battle for not just 11th place, but a battle pretty much for the lead of this race once we see the leaders head into the pit boxes, as we see some are already heading in right now as they drive by. They're side by side, but Lariah, he's going to take the position in the one. Yeah, Lariah is into 9th place now, and I'll tell you what, he'll take the lead of this race over very soon.
So Michael Lariah going to be taking that lap away from Michael Johnson, and of course pitted 5 laps later than Michael Johnson. Johnson pitted on 41, Lariah back on 46. So that's why we're seeing Lariah with so much speed. And if that's the pace difference on just 5-lap pressure tires, you have to wonder, right? Andrew Freenach is into pit road as well. So the driver that was formerly on the podium for a good chunk of the early running of this race bails out right at halfway.
Yeah, that's I think that's a good call there. Cody Harris laps Farinas, and oh boy, I don't know what the right move is. Like, Cody Harris, does he decide to stay out for as long as possible, or does he come in this lap? So he's in the toe of Casto. He pulls to the inside, but not far enough to the inside that he's going to go into the pits. I almost think that he's waiting to get passed by Lariah before heading into the pits. I don't know. Lariah's not going to pass him. He's 20 seconds in. Andrew Phipps goes into the pit wall, or pit road, and yeah, Lariah's not going to catch him in the next 5 or so laps. But so what is Harris waiting on? I don't know.
Might be trying to run that tank.
He's in a fight with Casto right now.
He might be trying to run that tank out dry, just pit as late as he possibly can, and then he might have some of the freshest tires out of anybody on the racetrack for a good little while, as Casto going to make a run down to pit road. Sean Casto, of course, on his first pit stop run of the evening on lap number 63. San Vieto also down into the road, into pit road for service. You would have thought it would have gotten busy, and there have been a lot of times where it has gotten really, really busy in races. This is one of them. It's been a very calm race, I think, so far for just about everybody throughout this field, and I think it's going to be a pretty quiet pit road for most of this race here.
The top 5 have yet to pit. Landon Mills, Agnell Phillip, Matt Danson, Seth DeMerchant, and the leader, Cody Harris. Harris not coming down pit road this time by either, who is dealing with a fall off of around 3 seconds, as is DeMerchant, as is Danson. So after a 60-plus lap run, the fall off is 3 seconds. Let's say that's 1 second. It's not linear, but let's just say it is for the purpose of this. That's 1 second every 20 laps. That's a big loss every lap. I just don't know. So could Cody Harris be hurting his own case by staying out as late as possible? Well, of course, not if a caution came out. Well, if a caution came out, everyone's coming down to the pits, and then no harm, no foul. But for now, I almost wonder, is the time lost by staying out. What happened?
Alexander Light tried as hard as he might bring out a he is going to bring out a caution. Hard into the outside wall, turn 4. That sets the strategy entirely. And that all started way back in turn 3.
This
it all
hurts.
Escalated.
Oh man, this hurts everyone a lap down. Andrew Farinas, probably no one hurts more than Sam Nieto, last year's winner of the race. He just got in way too deep, touched the quarter panel, should have saved it. How does he not save that?
He gets on the throttle.
Oh man, that's a horrible way to bring out the caution. You gotta keep control of the car there. Just got on the throttle way too hard while on the rumble strips. Ends his day and destroys the strategy call. And you know, we've been talking about it for quite a bit. Cody Harris, if he came down into the pits, would have had a very unfortunate time. He was waiting for something to happen, and that shoe did drop because Harris and DeMerchant and Danson and Phillip and Mills did not go into the pits when they did. They're fine. I mean, give it 5-10 more laps, and they would not have been fine. Everyone from in that top, everyone on the lead lap is going to pit, right? Like, no question. You need fresh tires. The fall off is too big to deal with not having fresh tires. The question will be, will any of the cars a lap down? I mean, you almost have to stay out to get the wave around.
This is gonna get interesting here for a few drivers in this field, as we'll see how the pit stop winner gonna shake on out. And keep in mind, this came seconds after our other men down, kind of watching trackside with us tonight, was Terry Radford. After he made the call, if this race goes caution-free, Cody Harris would be the winner. That was his pick to win.
Still very well may be.
Yeah, I think he still might be. Harris leads the way off pit road. He's good to go to the end now. A two-tire strategy now late in the call wouldn't matter, as he'd have to be pitting about, 10 laps into the run? Nobody's going to be doing that.
The people that were hurt by the caution being where it is, I think the only people you could say that this hurt that would have been on the lead lap on pace, it's pretty much just Farinas and Nieto. Because everybody else, they were a lap down. If they had pit for two stop strategy and were a lap down, still, they just didn't have the pace. The only two drivers that had the pace to stay on the lead lap and were unfortunately hurt by that are Farinas and Nieto. No question. No question. That is massive. Evan Pizzoco usually is the play-by-play voice and the leader of the series, as we see Cody Harris and Ohio State there, and not a fan of that background for Cody Harris. But Evan Pizzoco, in news other than racing, should be very happy right now because his Vegas Golden Knights are up big in the second period of Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. Nolan, you're Canadian and you don't care for hockey.
No, that is accurate. I don't know. Never been my thing. I've been to 2 hockey games my entire life, and one of them was a Paralympics game for Italy versus Sweden 7 years ago.
Are we talking 2010, 11?
I think it would have been around then, yes.
Because 2010 was the Vancouver Winter Games.
I think that would have been it, yeah. It was Italy versus Sweden, and Italy absolutely crushed Sweden 4-0.
And that's sled hockey, by the way.
Yes.
That's a cool version of hockey.
It was. I will admit, I had a good time. I'm just not up to tune with hockey. It's one of these, I don't understand the rules, and it would take way too much effort for me to catch myself up on where all the drama's at.
Fair enough. A lot of the cars getting waved around here. You know, I gotta publicly call out Evan, though, because he's also a Montreal Canadiens fan, and, you know, then he's in Vegas, Vegas gets a team, and now he's pulling for both. I just don't like it, you know? I hope Evan's in the comments listening. I have publicly called you out. We still love you, though. Pace lights out on the pace car, as Cody Harris will lead with Seth DeMerchant on the outside, Agnel Phillip and Landon Mills in the first 2 rows. The drivers who are trying to get their lap back are really trying to catch up right now because they're just on the backstretch. We might have a huge pile up from the cars that are trying to get back in position as the lead cars are about to take this green. Everyone else is at a different speed. This is going to be a mess in the back. Sam Nieto not happy. Green flag underway. Cody Harris has the lead going into turn 1. DeMerchant will fly around Agnel Phillip. Restart under review. Lots of cars trying to get their lap back. Landon Mills just cut off by Danson. Now going to the inside of Harris's DeMerchant into 3. DeMerchant going to try and send it in with 50 laps to go here. Gonna hold tight around the outside as Cody Harris, but coming right back down the fight is DeMerchant. Side by side down the front stretch, Nolan.
Seth DeMerchant going to try to take that one away from Cody Harris. We worked our way down to turn numbers 3 and 4. DeMerchant holds the bottom, bobbles on corner entry. Cody Harris going to swing out wide. DeMerchant cuts it back down low. You mentioned Michael Lariah into the outside wall, but it's still dead heat down the back straightaway.
Matt Danson says, for a second there, Agnel, I was wrecking. That is no question right there as they head into this now wide and out 3 and 4. The grip levels are on both. Manazzi Major has a black flag from P18. Is that a result of restart? Yes, that was a restart violation on Manazzi Major and the 82 machine. We're watching the battle up front, 48 to go. This is a sprint to the end, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. DeMerchant has the advantage heading into 3. A bit of a side draft from Cody Harris. A bit of a bump draft from Matt Danson, who slides up. Harris tries to go around the outside, has to take it off the throttle. DeMerchant is going to lead this race for now and has a few car lengths of an advantage over anybody else. Cody Harris had this race in the bag probably if it went green the whole way. Now it's mano a mano.
Just kind of an update on that penalty as well. Major did attempt to contest that penalty, but it will be upheld. The exact infraction was for passing before the line. He was among that mass group of cars that had to come on down to pit road.
Let's watch it.
And we'll take a look at this one here. Made up a good 3-4 spots.
This is under yellow, by the way. This is them trying to get their lap back. They waved around on 1 lap to go, and they're all trying to race back to get to the leaders. So Manazzi Major not happy with the penalty. Sam Nieto not happy with how slow he felt everyone was going. So Manazzi Major goes around the outside, makes a move, and he's not trying to give his positions back, is he?
That's exactly what it was. The penalty was for the fact that he did not give the position back. Manazzi Major argued that he was avoided an incident. Fair play. There was a bit of a checkup at the front. It caused a bit of a stack up, but you still have to give the spots back as it was supposed to be a single file start.
You can't be flying into the restart. You just can't time that. That's not within the rule set. Now, you can pass on the outside, but you can't be at that speed. That's wild. So, Major is black flagged, and he is serving the penalty as we speak. Back to the action that's happening on the screen. It's a freight train of cars all the way back. This is going to get intense. It is intense. Not getting intense. It is intense. This is a fun fight to the end with 44 laps to go. I mean, man, this is wild. There's I'll tell you what, there's only 55 miles of racing left in this race, and it's going to go by like that.
We're about to enter the final third of this race here. Seth DeMerchant might have the race lead, but he has not been able to pull it away from Matt Danson and Cody Harris. He's walked out a couple of car lengths. That's still more than enough though for Danson to try to run him down before the end of this race. For now, it's a Logitech G Altus Esports 1-2 down to the turn numbers 1 and 2 with Cody Harris. still hanging on for that third position down at the tail of the field after leading a vast majority of this race. Gets a great run of Danson down the back straightaway.
That's a great run, but it kind of stalled out there. He's going to try and dive down the inside. You got to wonder how these tires must be screaming right now. It's 114 degrees Fahrenheit on track. They're side by side. Going to try and side draft to slow Danson down, but he's just chugging away. Takes his foot off the throttle, applies the brakes a little earlier than Harris, is higher up than you'd probably want to be in 1 and 2, and slides right in front of Danson is Cody Harris.
Cody Harris hightailing it down the back straightaway into 3 and 4 as Matt Danson going to try to get himself settled right behind. Danson in the number 38. Works off of the final corner, tries to chase after Harris. It's single file all the way back throughout this field until you get about that a bit further back in the field. You look to Michael Araya, where we're still inside the top 10. Going side by side with Michael Johnson. Contact! That's going to cause Araya to lose out to Bradley Burke now, who makes his way back to 7th.
Lariah, the only person that was out of line, gets back into a line right up against the wall there, and no one's trying to make a move at the moment. They're just trying to set up moves coming down this straightaway. Man, this race was tame. It was calm. We almost saw a full strategy cycle play out. I mean, the caution came out for most drivers at the least consequential time. Maybe it didn't work with the strategy they wanted to. I mean, to give you an update on where Nieto and Farinas are, Nieto is well off the pack, seconds behind the leader. Farinas is within 5 seconds as we see a move by Bradley Burke sliding up. Almost tags the 39 of Johnson in the left rear quarter panel, but they're side by side heading down the front straight 2/3 of the way into this race.
2/3 deep and still looking just excited as it was in that first third of the race as well. Bradley Burke going to lose out on Michael Johnson. Gets a bit of a bump there from Michael Lariah to give him a boost down the back straightaway to get himself sorted. Tom Wetmore had a peak, not able to make the move on Lariah down into turn numbers 3 and 4. And Steve Tucker getting to the back bumper now of Wetmore in the middle of 3 and 4 as well. He wants to get moving.
He wants to get moving, but he's going to have to do that to a lot of drivers in here, as there's still 8, 9 drivers to contend with in front of him. Wetmore and Tucker not liking where they are, but it's not that this is a hard track to pass at, but it's a track where you usually have to set up the pass at least 2 quarters ahead, especially on fresh tires. As you see side by side, was that the 23? Yes, of Brandon Bowie and Brandon Fetterplace. As one Brandon's in a better place right now. Nothing, no one. Well, we might have lost Nolan, but hopefully we'll get him back on the front stretch. Cody Harris trying to run down Seth DeMerchant, unable to do so at the moment. Danson in position number 3 with Agnell Phillip and Landon Mills rounding out that top 5. Side-by-side action further back with Bradley Burke sending it down the inside of Michael Lariah. It's Michael Johnson in front with Lariah behind the what is the Bradley Burke sandwich at this point in between Michaels. Burke gets that position. 7th place heading into turn 1. A lot of cars starting to slide up, not understanding the limits of the rubber on these tires, as we saw further back Wetmore and Tucker going at it again. Grant Davis taking a peek to the inside it's pretty much the top 11 that are all together right now. And Nolan, we got you.
Should have me back now. It'll
Hello.
be. Yeah, I'm back. It's a miracle. We're back up and running now, as you can see. The likes of Dance and Make That Merchant still running down in towards turn numbers 1 and 2, and now started to catch up to Monotsi Major. Of course, it was a bit of a drive-through penalty that Major ended up having to serve. He sits 1 lap down. Try not to go 2 down. If you stay at 1 down, he gets under the caution. He can take the wave around and not pit, and then he'll be able to get himself back onto the lead lap here.
Yeah, Monotsi Major, and I'm sure he knows this, and I'm sure a lot of drivers know this. You can't use the wave around to an advantage of gaining spots on the restart. You're a lap down, you get that lap back. You can't just keep at the same speed and time out the restart, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean on that one, and I think that was a warranted penalty. I mean, and to be fair, credit to Joshua Mendoza, our race controller here for today. He did wait a couple of laps on that one to see if Major would give the spots back, and I think that's fair, right? He waited to see if there was going to be a chance, and I think had Monotsi Major redress those spots, all good. There's no problem. You gave the spots back. There's nothing to penalize anymore. But the fact that he didn't, that's what nets him that penalty, and that's what's going to maybe a little bit it's going to miff him a little bit, but he'll be able to get himself moving as Bradley Burke wants to get Michael Johnson moving. Nearly moved him around in 1 and 2.
With all this moving out here, you'd think we were on a dairy farm. But the Get Wet Esports driver,
moved him there.
Yeah, he did exactly that. Got into the quarter panel. And does he clear him? Well, he might have cleared, but he didn't feel like that was close enough, and he hesitated. He lets Johnson get back to the outside, and now Burke and Michael Johnson are side by side. But once again, I think these drivers are struggling with the transition between when these tires have the max amount of life in them to when it's starting to be a bit of a struggle getting the car positioned into the corners exactly where they want it to be. And you got to fly at this point. There's no question you got to get the most out of these tires. But some drivers might be saving it a little bit, but now it's almost go time for those drivers who might have been saving this when the restart happened. Cody Harris right behind DeMerchant and is catching up. Monotsi Major is not wanting to fall another lap down, but he's going to concede to position right there, go all the way against the wall. Cody Harris, we see him on screen right now. He gets the all clear sign from his spotter on Monotsi Major, and he can start this chase to Seth DeMerchant, who has a clear track in front of him. The next car that would be going a lap down is at the end of the back straight, and that would be a Braden Whitaker. So it's a one-on-one dogfight with Matt Danson and Agnell Phillip close in tow.
You can see Cody Harris on board with the Bagel Man right now, trying to make it. That is not Cody Harris. I'm not sure who it was that was the Bagel guy. It's not Harris, though. I know that for a fact. Who am I thinking of?
Ross Cato?
Ross Cato. That's who I'm talking about. Ross Cato, not running today.
I don't even know what that was about, to be honest.
I don't know either.
Was it just what he ate before?
It was the bagel bread. Yeah, bagel bread. He had a thing about every time we looked to his in-car caution, he was eating bagel bread. And I kid you, every single time we went to him, even like an hour later, it looked like he hadn't made a dent in it, despite the fact that he was constantly chewing. It was like a bottomless supply. It was amazing.
My superstition in high school hockey, I scored my first goal after eating 2 bagels and a bottle of Coke before the game. So every game, I ate 2 bagels and a bottle of Coke. My fitness levels may have not been great, but I did score a few more goals that season. As we're on 27 laps to go, Lariah Johnson still fighting right here as Bradley Burke sits in front of them and Tom Wetmore in behind. The really the 6th on back positions are fighting in their own little group right now, while Landon Mills, who is in position number 5, all the way up to DeMerchant in first, have their own group going on for them right now too.
On a single file battle still going on around the racetrack, but not to say they're not close together. You're still seeing positions being swapped around almost every single lap fairly consistently at this point in time. Michael Araya going to continue to apply some of that pressure up to the likes of Bradley Burke as Araya tries to hunt down the Get Wet Esports number 95. And you can see Minotzi Major as well, just a bit further up the road. Still lap traffic that is still getting a little bit in the way of some of the lead lap cars who are trying to interact in their own battles, and that's what's backing Bradley Burke a bit more towards Michael Araya. Wetmore sideways behind. Saves it, though, on the back straightaway.
Yeah, we saw Wetmore almost lose it right there off of corner number 2. Nonetheless, all good. No harm, no foul. Burke still leads the 6th on back contingent. Cody Harris has caught Seth DeMerchant. This is gonna be good. With 24 laps to go, 30 miles left in this race at this 1 mile and 1/4 egg-shaped racetrack. Very wide at points, like in 3 and 4. Very flat all across the board. Harris is now flying. And you see those cars in front? You know what that is right now. That's lap traffic. This is going to be good.
This is where it always starts to get interesting at tracks like this, is once you get into the lap cars, most of the time they're pretty good on getting up and out of the way, but when you get to guys that are in their own little battles, that's where it gets particularly interesting, because there's no obligation to have to move away, right? This is a road course race where the blue flags are a requirement. It's more of a suggestion over here on the oval racing scene. Cody Harris swinging wide into turn 3, trying to diamond off 4 and set up a run down the back straightaway, as San Diego having a big moment down off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway, and there was a contact. Not happy with Ryan Dunkelberger.
Nieto is not happy at all, and for almost honestly a benign thing, Dunkelberger got loose off corner exit and kind of slapped Nieto, and they're fine for now as we'll monitor that situation. Seth DeMerchant, by the way, he is 0.3 of a second in front of Cody Harris. Let's make that half a second in total as we start to see them claw their way through lapped traffic. This is intense.
The intensity going to continue to mount as we work our way further towards the sharp end of this race. Still got the 66 there of DeMerchant trying to hang on for the race lead. Cody Harris has not been able to close up, though, too much in the last little while. In fact, lost 2/10, 1 lap ago, and I think it might be even more this time around. Loses out on another 1/10 of a second. So Cody Harris starting to drop back. I think Seth DeMerchant, this might be his race to lose now.
Yeah, this might be DeMerchant's race to lose. I mean, Harris needs to make sure that he can get around this lap traffic as easily as DeMerchant has been able to. He really sends it in there in the 3 and 4, but Puller is going to block his run. Interesting.
Carl Puller's just running this race.
He's running this race. It's just interesting that it almost looked like he was fighting the car in second more than the car in first. But don't say it's DeMerchant's race right now, because Harris has gotten right back into that gap that he was forming in terms of the size, the small size of that gap before lap cars became an issue. DeMerchant having to deal with a driver who does not want to go a lap down, Richard Woodruff, who is going to wash up high. DeMerchant goes down low. Harris is right there. Danson has fallen back a little bit where he was at corner entries. DeMerchant got scarily close to Woodruff, and now just one spot in behind. Matt Danson not happy. Sam Nieto not happy. I don't know what's going on here. There's a lot of tempers here.
A lot of tempers on the racetrack here at Gateway, and it's not the first time, right? Almost every single time the NASCAR Cup Series has gone here, we've had some sort of major drama that's resulted in drivers coming to blows either on or off the track. Look to the likes of Martin Truex Jr., of course, a few years ago, and as you mentioned rightfully before our broadcast, the incident that went down at the NASCAR Cup Series, of course, just early on yesterday. So there's a lot to go down here so far at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and it seems the tempers even overflow to RSR as caution's going to be coming on out. Car round to the front straightaway. Ryan Dunkelberger has lost the back end.
You know who's going to really enjoy this? Sam Nieto.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Dunkelberger, he just lost it and tried to get it going around again, as we'll see in this replay. Everything's fine. Gets a little bit loose off of 4. Comes down to the inside. Look at that. You'd think he'd saved it, but just like we saw from an incident earlier, right when you get back onto the throttle because of how slick this track is, it's impossible to keep it going. Settenberchen, who will almost undoubtedly go into the pits here along with everybody else on the lead lap. Last one in the fall Daytona race in 2021. How much do you think he wants to win this race?
Enough to potentially move somebody forward if someone gets around him.
Yeah, good point.
Good bad for Andrew Phipps on that deal. He just had nowhere to go or that mess, and he's likely going to have some pretty major damage now on the front end of Phipps's machine. So the 25 will try to get that damage repaired. It appears to all be on the left front, right where he connected with the 18 of Whitaker as he slid back up onto the racetrack. I think other than that, it should be a fairly straightforward caution period. Everybody's going to be going on it. Expect 4 tires and fuel. And I think did DeMerchant miss his pit block? He did. He had to back up into it. That's going to cost him precious tenths. That might cost him the lead. It will cost him the lead.
It will. Harris is going to come out of his pit box first, but we saw some 2-tire strategy.
Oh, Lariah sideways in pit road.
Oh, Lariah sideways. Car's trying to avoid him. Agnell Phillip. 2 tires, he comes out with the lead. Just like Sam Nieto last year decided to go with a 2-tire pit stop, so does Agnell Phillip. Comes in 4th, comes out 1st.
What happened to Lariah, though? How do you spin out in pit road? Was this, I wonder if that either had to have been.
Just lost it. It was a slick track.
Is it really that hot that he lost it in pit road there?
Well, it's 111 degrees Fahrenheit, not even close to how hot it was earlier. Could you imagine if this was a non-ghosting kind of situation? We get the replay here. He just loses it, so he goes into pit lane. He gets fresh tires. I believe it was a 4-tire stop. You see the right side go up. In just a few moments, I believe we see the left side go up as well. No, yeah, it's a 2-tire stop. His strategy call completely almost undone right there by his own mistake. Lariah's going to lose a ton of positions for that, and unfortunately, he's got no one to blame except himself.
It's interesting that you mentioned this is a non-ghosting situation because the old
it is a ghosting.
The old racing situation from Papyrus on NASCAR Racing 2003 season, NR 2003, the game that was so heavily the base code of this game iRacing was based off of course. Remember, same team initially that worked on it in 2003 on iRacing as well. They don't have ghosting for that situation in that old game, so that would have been easily a pile up in pit road. And I've ran enough races there to see that when you get something like that, it's never terribly pretty for anybody, especially the AI, which shall we say, are always fairly liberal with how much they want to use the brake pedals.
Well, it's amazing what 20 years of technological advances do, Nolan.
kind of wanted that to not be a ghosting situation. That would have been very entertaining.
Well, there's a lot of question marks that will need to be answered here. And I'll be honest here, Nolan, you know the old term that cautions breed cautions. I think we're going to see some cautions from this. There's some tempers on track. Lots of tempers on track as we are on the backstretch with lights out on the pace car, all lined up side by side. We are going to have drivers as far back as 24th on the lead lap. The wave around cars from Braden Whitaker on or Richard Woodruff, they're racing to try and get back into line, which I think they will be able to before we go green. This is going to be 12 laps of fun, 12 laps of intrigue. Agnell Phillip went up +3 spots because he took 2 tires. Was that the right call, though? Green flag in the air, we get going, and he gets a great jump. A horrible start from Cody Harris, and Matt Danson is now in position number 2 in a great spot. He's got the fresher tires of he and Phillip. He's going to try and kind of push him to the outside. Down the inside comes Danson. Danson, who has not had the lead of this race at any point, will go down the inside of Agnell Phillip and attempt to take it right here.
Danson making the move for the race lead on 4 tires. He's going to do it. Phillip cuts down and then for second place. Trying to go for the crossover down out of turn number 4 as he rocket around to the front straightaway. 3 wide in the background with Freenage on Throttle.
Oh, man.
We're going to condense down to turn numbers 1 and 2, even up front in this field. As you're going to see Bradley Burke trying to push his way back into the top 5. He's going to do so. DeMerchant
Look at
gets
Michael
around
Johnson.
position. Holy cow, it is all sorts of chaos at Gateway.
Oh, big block from Bradley Burke on the set to Merchant. I don't think the Merchant's going to be too pleased about that, as Agnell Phillip is in a free fall. He's already in the position he came into the pits in. He's getting loose. He almost loses it right in front of Johnson. The 2-tire strategy call was not the right call.
It can work out on a green-white checkered finish, but not when you've still got over 10 laps to go. I'm not sure what the thought process was there.
Especially being in 4th, as we see a car hit the wall just up ahead. It was Brandon Fetterplace right where Phillip is sandwiched in between. He just takes his foot off the throttle and lets Michael Johnson and the whole group of cars start to go on by. The top 6 have broken away. Agnell Phillip is falling. Andrew Freenage, who has lost a bunch of spots since the start of this race. I mean, remember,
Phillip's lost it.
There's a spin. Agnell Phillip collects a lot more drivers. The 25 involved, the 6 involved, the 51.
Oh, and somebody's lost the front bumper further up in the field. So a lot of drivers mentioned before collected as a huge result of that deal, and that's going to do it for a lot of folks out there. Believe that was Andrew Phipps. It was the 25, the car that was involved in just the last caution, involved in 2 in a row. Let's take a look at this one as Agnell Phillip going to try to fend off Steve Tucker. You see Tom Wetmore behind. Sean Casso also in the mix. Gets up into Tucker and nowhere for Wetmore to go.
Yeah, that's kind of all she wrote on that 2-tire call paying off. Another driver who suffered greatly from that call was Michael Laraya, who has fallen to 16th position. Man, oh man. I mean, of course, he had his own mistake there on pit road, but nonetheless, I mean, wild. Just wild. Laraya's going to come down to pit road. So here's a question. Does anyone dare go into pit road and roll the dice? I don't think so. There's too many drivers right now, in my opinion, that are on the lead lap. Andrew Phipps will go into the pits, as will Michael Laraya, Carl Puller, Sean Casto. I mean, these are drivers in the back trying to roll the dice, see what they can get. This is almost certainly not going to be an overtime type finish, as Agnell Phillip claims responsibility there. Now Phillip says he does not claim the caution.
Oh boy.
I don't think you can do that. I think once you put it in the chat that you claim it, that's unfortunately set in stone that you claim the caution there.
Unsee, says Apple Phil in the chat immediately after. Unsee. Cue the meme of the bird, of the pear with the unsee juice. Big
Somebody call Evan.
Even Mendoza's confused. Agno Philip used confusion. It's apparently super effective.
And Philip said, I think you can do that. Of course he'll feel that way. Being honest, I just don't. I think once you claim it, it's. I mean, you open up a wild precedent if you let them change their mind. You know, if you get, can you see after, you know, a few laps under a caution? I don't think so. Can you claim it? Oh man, that's a hard call. I just know that it's no matter what, it sets a precedent.
Well, somebody tried to do this earlier in the season. I remember very distinctly somebody tried to do the unsee. So this is not the first time this is happening, but I'm struggling for the life of me to remember what the call was on that one and how that Evan went about handling that, because usually he's the one that takes care of all this.
Oh boy, that's all I gotta say.
What do we have? 4 laps to go when we go to the green?
Yeah, so what we got right now is probably 4 laps to go. That would make it a 5-lap caution period. We haven't seen the decision to give an EOL to Agnel Phillip. I just don't know what the right call is. Anyway, we'll get clarification after the race, I think. Matt Danson, Landon Mills, those are your top 2 runners. Landon Mills, we have talked about quite a bit in this race. Started this sprint race in 30th. Second to last place. The 2 drivers we thought had this race won. Cody Harris, Seth DeMerchant, 3rd and 5th. And Bradley Burke, who fell to dead last in the first corner of the first lap, is in 4th. The cream rises to the top as these pacing vehicles go into turn 3 with just 4 laps to go. Once we go back, green flag racing, 5 miles on the track where you can see the arch of St. Louis in the background. Off of 4, pace car is in. Dancing on the inside. Will he get the jump he needs? Green flag in the air. That's a great jump for the man down under. The Australian of Matt Danson has a 3-car length advantage over Landon Mills as we roar into turn 1 with 4 laps to go. Mills, no one next to him. He's free to chase Danson as he sees, but Bradley Burke and Cody Harris side by side halfway down the back straight.
Making that run down towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Cody Harris trying to see if he can't maintain that run on the bottom and take back the race lead. But Landon Mills and Matt Danson both pulling away with 3 laps to go from Madison, Illinois.
Unless there's a mistake from the top 2, it's a battle between Danson and Mills for this race win. Cody Harris slides up in the background and gets into Bradley Burke. Johnson goes down low into DeMerchant. Andrew Farinas into 5th.
Into the 5th spot now as we start to condense things on up here in the run here down the back straightaway into turn numbers 3 and 4. Are we done with the cautions? Do we have one more left in us? If we do get a green-white checkered, it'll have to be from something that happens on this next lap, because 1 lap from now, it'll be official.
1.25 miles until we get the white flag. 2.5 miles until we get the checkered. Matt Danson slides up, but he's able to diamond it back down on the exit of 2. Landon Mills, a car length lower on the grip level. We'll see what these drivers tend to do. Right now, Danson in a big gap, sending it way down as Mills. Farinas picks up another position and goes after Burke, who's into P3. White flag is waving. Will Danson get to the line for it? Yes, he will. Final lap of this 120-lap race. Danson in the lead. Sending it is Landon Mills. He's able to make it stick, but will it give him a run down the backstretch? I don't think it will down this long backstretch with a heavy braking corner. It's all Matt Danson. He's been right up front the entirety of the race as Mills sends it in there. Not going to be enough. Danson just needs to nurse this car home. And the Australian is going to get it done. Yellow's late in the race. It's not a race that was given to him. It was a race that he stuck around and capitalized on. Matt Danson, his second win of the year.
Huge crash across the start-finish line deeper in the field as Cody Harris got taken out by the likes of Michael Johnson and more deeper in the field as they wiped out coming across the start-finish line. At least 15 cars collected in a huge wreck down to turn 1. What a way to end out the race here tonight.
Holy cow, look at this replay. Johnson coming down the block. Harris, this is huge. Holy cow.
I said it was huge.
You did. You didn't lie.
LaRyan was flipping over.
It's a good thing this is the virtual world.
Absolutely. What a way, though, to end out a race.
I mean, that was just great. Just a great race. Matt Danson celebrates at the start-finish line. Hey, he didn't lead many laps this race, but he was there when it mattered. He was hanging around the entire time, all 120 laps, and he just capitalized late. He took advantage of it. We're going to pull up the results here, and there's some surprising names all throughout the list. Matt Danson wins. Landon Mills just a further 3.5 tenths back, with Bradley Burke within a second as well. That's your podium. Andrew Farinas, Grant Davis, Brandon Bowie, Michael Johnson, Brandon Fetterplace. Look at DeMerchant. Look at Harris, 9th and 10th. Those were the two drivers we thought were going to win this race. Go a little bit further down the list, and we see Thomas George, Tom Wetmore, Michael Araya, Agnell Phillips, Sam Nieto, who recovered, but not that much after being in the top 5 at the beginning of this race. Strategies and yellows did not fall for him. And Brett Pancari, 16th, Carl Poehler, Ryan Dunkelberger, Eric Papineau, and Steve Tucker, your top 20. Braden Whitaker, Sean Casto, Brian Dixon, Richard Woodruff, and Andrew Phipps. All 25 cars that are in that first, still in the lead lap as we ended that race. Minazzi Major, who had the pass-through late, and Steve Durham 1 lap down. Sean Kalis 3 laps down. Richard Wolsifer 14 laps down. Alex Light 57 laps down. And last on the list is Gregory Shaw, 74 laps down. While there's drama going on in the Discord, I think it's
when is there
we're hoping. When is there not drama going on in the Discord? My goodness, what a wild finish to that race. Don't have anyone in the in our server to talk to right now that is waiting for the interview. We do now. We have Landon Mills, who finished in P2, waiting in our lobby. So let's pull him in as well. Nolan, how about we have you take this one? Let me grab him.
It'll hopefully be Landon Mills here in just a little while, as we'll be able to talk to the driver that finished this race up. Second position, and it is by far most spots gained out of anybody. Did not qualify for this race, Landon. You moved from 30th all the way up to finish. Runner-up, second fiddle to Matt Danson. How's it feel to be able to step onto the podium after such a rough way to start off the race?
First of all, I haven't been on here for a while, so I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good. So, phenomenal race. Love the green flag racing. It's been a very busy weekend for me. I was actually went to the race this weekend, and just been in state, kind of all over the place, and got home late, in the morning last night, and just kind of been tired, but figured I'd run this, and yeah, a lot translated from the actual cup race, which I thought was a pretty big hit. I felt like it was a little more bottom heavy in 3 than it was being able to run a seam or 2 up and being able to stay on somebody's right rear. So that was just the biggest struggle at the end, trying to make a move or set up a move. You just couldn't get to somebody's outside. But overall, it was a phenomenal race. People kept it pretty clean, and just slowly made my way up there and got a good finish.
Of course, second place here tonight. It'll be great for your championship running as we get set to roll into another off week here this coming week. We return, I believe it was to the road course racing at Sonoma over 1 week from now. What's going to be the thoughts then as we get set to go taking some right turns?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of road courses. I don't have many laps at Sonoma, so that I can't tell you for guarantee I'll be the best there, but I'd like to finish top 5 usually in the road courses, so I'm looking forward to those opportunities to get some points, and like always, a win. So we were close to getting it tonight, but the car drove really well, and just ultimately came up a little bit short, but yeah, the long run was definitely our suit, and if we maybe had 5 to 10 more laps, we could have gotten to the bumper and made a move, but nonetheless, just really solid race for us.
Of course, we look down towards the season as a whole for you, and it'll be an interesting run then, I think, for you to be able to get yourself a bit further up towards the start of the season. You haven't run the most races. You're only 4 races deep on the season. Do you have any goals there where you want to see that Team Ryko machine over at the end of the season here? Oh,
absolutely. As the schedule opens up, I'd like to, make a possible push for the playoffs, hopefully sneak in. I don't think running the amount of races is going to be the issue. I think it's just going to come down to getting a win. I'm just not able to get as many starts that I'll need to point my way in. So always looking for a win every single race and just kind of seeking that. But today was great for the momentum. Just kind of been out of it lately and just came back with 2nd place. And yeah, just really solid day for us, and looking forward to the next one.
Well, wish you the best of luck then next week as we get set to go out to wine country. For now, they'll land it. Congratulations on the 2nd place from Illinois.
Thank you, Nolan.
As Landon Mills joined us up here up in the broadcast booth. That'll lead us down then to the likes of Matt Danson down to pick us up with the race win. And Dylan, I'll pass things back over to you.
Yep, over with Matt Danson. And a quick note before we get to him with that final wreck at the end of the race. It was actually Seth DeMerchant getting loose off of 4. Got into the right rear quarter panel of Cody Harris, who got into Johnson and set that whole chain of events off. Nonetheless, Matt Danson with us. Man, you were there when it mattered. You won this race, not because of really late cautions or anything. You were just in the top 5 all day. You stuck around. You got it done. How's it feel?
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. Yeah, I guess I was fast enough for most of the time. It's just, Cody was insane that first run. I feel like a little bit of that may have been down to, sort of myself and Merch kind of having to fight through the field a little bit to, not the field, it's not like we would last, but, just trying to get around guys that are really fast. It, takes a bit of work. So I think that kind of contributed to us, working our tyres over a bit more than we would have wanted. But I do hate it for Merch as much as I'm, stoked for myself. I feel like he had the win like 100% locked up until that caution with 15 laps to go. So that sucks, for that perspective. But I guess from my POV, it was pretty awesome, and I made it probably the best restart I'll ever make behind Agnall, and cleared Cody, and then it was just a matter of trying to. I forgot that we had tyre overlap. I was just treating Agnall like he had 4 tyres like the rest of us. So I was just working hard, and then got to his got a really good exit out. I think 1 out of 2, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then it was just a matter of just holding it all together after that.
Yeah, that was a blinder of a restart at the end for you there. We talk all about Gateway being a oval that is very similar to a road course, and you know, you're not really just a road course specialist anymore. You win a lot of races now on the ovals. You're competing. I want to give you the props where it's due.
Yeah, thank you. That's good.
But of course, with this almost having some similar characteristics, do you feel like you knew you should have been top 5 all race?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not a surprise that, like Cody was really fast. He's always really good on road courses. Merch, as we'll see next time out, he's really good on road courses as well. So yeah, you're right. Oh, my engine just blew up. You are right.
Just sitting still?
Yeah, I was just parked on the on the front stretch. But yeah, I guess that probably does translate because you got the heavy braking in turn 1, and especially with these cars, like they're really trying to lock up under brakes. So being able to manage that pressure so that you're getting optimum performance without locking up. I suppose having that kind of background does help. Ironically, actually, sitting behind me right now is the 2023 PESC champion. So it's a bit of a joke for me to say that I'm a road course guy when the god of road course drivers is sitting behind me. He's probably judging everything I'm doing.
Is that Jordan behind you?
It is, yep. The one and only.
We'd love to hear from him who the real road course racer is.
Do you want to talk to him?
Yeah, why not? Let's get
hang on. Look at him.
What a treat. What a treat. We're waiting for Jordan Caruso to go.
He denied. He's
denied. No.
Yeah, now since his win, every interview comes with a fee. So yeah, he wants the upfront charges before he will talk. So
that's fair. I'll remember that if you ever want to have an interview with my driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But you think we'll see Jordan in a RSR race for fun one time?
I would love to see Jordan in an RSR race. I mean, we've got Sonoma next week. You doing anything next Tuesday, Jordan?
Let's hear.
He pulled a face as if to say, "I'm above that."
I hear the laugh in the background.
No, he would never say anything like that. It's just me filling the gaps. But I don't know. I'll try and convince him. We'll see.
Yeah, please do. All right, Matt Danson gets his second win of the year, this time at Gateway. Congrats, Matt. And we'll see you and maybe Jordan at Sonoma.
All right, see you guys.
And of course, we can't end this broadcast without getting the third person on the podium here with Bradley Burke, who had literally a roller coaster of a day from the very first corner of the very first lap. Bradley, how do you feel getting back to third after starting in fourth and then falling to last, literally a corner in?
Literally, as I was crossing the line, I radioed to my team that I felt like I had just won because I had to drive that car so hard. It was pretty exhausting. Definitely a crazy night. My frames dropped when we went into turn 1. They went from like over 100 down to in the 20s all of a sudden, and I had no idea where I was at.
I, too, frequently never know where I am sometimes. But hey, we know you ended the race in position number 3. There was some chaos behind you coming over the line. You gained a few positions there in the last few restarts. Take us through the craziness, the chaos of those restarts.
Yeah, as we've all seen, we know one caution in RSR breeds multiple, so we were all just kind of prepared to run those final laps under yellow pretty much, but then we went green for it, and it was pretty wild. I figured out how to use the outside line in 3 and 4, and that's pretty much what got me even to a shot to win it. I was downshifting down to third and able to make up some spots that way.
So going forward, Sonoma, tell us your outlook for there. Obviously, it's share some characteristics with Gateway, but it's a road course, not an oval.
Yeah, it's going to take some practice. It's not my favorite road course, but I am a road course person. But Sonoma's probably my worst one, so I'll be having to practice there. It's definitely definitely going to be interesting, especially with, I think this is the first race with the lower downforce package at that road course.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. I know in the real world, the Xfinity Series is going there for the first ever time, so we're going to have a lot of stories to talk about by the time RSR ends with the race at Sonoma on Monday night. Congrats on the podium, Bradley, and looking forward to seeing you out next week.
Appreciate it, and I also wanted to say thank you for picking me at Charlotte. I wish I could have made me a little bit more proud, but
so close.
I gave it all it had.
I am very proud of that fight you showed there, and I'm very proud of the fight you showed here. We didn't pick today because Terry Radford has horrible hotel Wi-Fi. He's only 30 minutes away from me. We should have done we should have shared a seat at my apartment and announced this, and then we would have picked our drivers to win this race. But you're very welcome, and congrats again, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. That is it for this race, which was honestly exactly what you want. With some chaos, some strategy coming into play, a weirdly timed yellow that started more yellows, and just had a lot of fun watching it, Nolan. Your thoughts?
I think this was a great race. I mean, you had all the action. You had the strategy at the start. That turned really quickly into an attrition-based race, though, once that first caution came out. We had one barn burner of a finish. We had a winner we didn't think would be able to get to the occasion with how dominant Cody Harris was in the early going. And, of course, for Cody Harris, it all comes crashing down. He'll finish just on the edge of the top 10. But, hey, next week, it's a new week as we swing on out to Sonoma.
Yeah, Sonoma next week, and it's going to be fun to see what these drivers do there. Hey, we get a little bit of a Dodge logo right there. Is that still there? You know, there's no Dodge stock cars out in the world anymore, I don't think. So it's nice to see Dodge still playing a part in a NASCAR circuit. But Sonoma's going to be fun in the Napa Valley, all the wine locations there, just around 40 minutes without traffic. And I mean without traffic from San Francisco, from Oakland. Gonna be a lot of fun to see what these drivers do at this winding, very different, altitudes of the track. Look, we're looking down into some of the earlier turns in the circuit. And of course, this is not the variation of Sonoma where you come down, you make that right turn and then go that carousel to the left up the drag strip. No, this is back to what NASCAR used to use and are using again in the real world, which I think just suits stock cars better, Nolan.
Well, speak for yourself. Personally, Sonoma's never been really my track. I don't know. I've found that Sonoma tends to be one of those racetracks where it's hard to pass, and I don't necessarily see that as a good thing. I personally like Watkins Glen a whole lot more for that. You get the longer straights, the harder braking zones, and Sonoma, it's a unique case. I think it's one of those you either love it or you hate it camps. I'm personally in the hate it camp, but you certainly can't hate the drivers racing on it, as I'm sure they'll be able to do their best to put on a good show for us over as we swing back out to the west.
Been a lot of fun to talk to everyone in the RSR world tonight. But for now, we're going to bid you all adieu as we leave the foothills of the world of Illinois and Missouri, St. Louis. You've been a blast. Myself, Dylan Coyle, as well as Nolan Rempel. We wish you all a very good evening, good night, and good racing.